Mitsubishi. I've got a Mazda. I've got a
You're like a Chrysler Toyota guy, so like we don't like you.
I mean, I've had a Chrysler.
I'm drinking out of a Dodge racing cup.
Yeah. No, I bought a Chrysler 300. I've owned a Chevy. I've owned a Ford F-150.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
I just equal opportunity.
So all the dead cars.
Yeah.
Cars equal opportunity.
Truck, baby.
You can't discriminate against cars.
The coolest one I have now is my son's Lancer, and it's not even mine; it's his. But it's gonna be fun to work on. It's different.
Ready to get this party started, boys?
I think so.
Yeah, let's do this because I've only got about an hour.
Yeah.
So we're already 10 minutes in.
We just wanted to take some time to introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about our background and how we ended up here. For me, my name's Dave. I am not a professional race car driver, but I do play one on Thursday nights and sometimes Saturdays. I got into racing just from watching IndyCar and NASCAR and Formula One on TV. And then once I got into sim racing, I developed a whole new love for the art of racing and the tracks and the individual characteristics of corners, and it kind of sent me down a really expensive rabbit hole. And that's how I ended up here. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot still to unpack. I mean, there's so many racing series that I don't know much about that these guys do. So I'm looking forward to learn a lot too. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Wait, hold up. Are we? Is it?
Nailed
Wait,
it.
Did you do your thing there? I wasn't listening.
Yeah, he did.
Sure.
Little bastard.
Okay, good. I was writing what I was gonna say, so I don't know.
Go, Levi.
Go me. My name's Levi. Grew up around a dirt track in a small town in Oklahoma, Fort Cobb, Oklahoma. Shout out. And live in Western Oklahoma now. There's 0 racetracks here, I think. There's a couple of oval tracks, but nothing major road course wise, except for in Tulsa. Tulsa's always got the Chili Bowl, and that's about as far as that goes. But grew up watching all kinds of racing with my dad. We went to the dirt track, local dirt track. They ran little motorcycle engines pretty much on turf tires, wing cars, non-wing cars, mini stocks, what they used to call them. And then with the bombers, I don't know what they call them now. Was out there every time. He was the one that ran the board on, lined everybody up for the races. I was just running around the pits trying not to get ran over. From then we went on and just, like I said, we went down to Coda for the inaugural race down there for F1. That was pretty cool in 2012. Went down to Texas a couple of times, Texas Motor Speedway, watched some NASCAR. I'd like to go to an Indy race. I'm not that big of an Indy fan. I keep up with F1 big time. Formula One's probably the one motorsport that I follow a lot of. I got away from NASCAR. I'm going to try to get back into it. But with these, anyways, we'll talk about that more later. But
I'll help you get back into NASCAR, bro.
Yeah, I'm just going to say somebody's going to have to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I race on iRacing, of course, like the rest of us, on some endurance teams with some of these guys. Well, I guess all these guys now. I've been trying to do more. Life gets in the way sometimes, but it is what it is, and we do our thing. So that's pretty much me.
Right on, bro.
My name's Norman. From Alabama. Grew up a diehard Davey Allison fan, and followed Yates Racing after he passed away in '93. Big NASCAR fan, loved racing since I was in a walker. Then kind of got out of NASCAR here in the past probably 10 years. It just all the what I call gimmicks, what a lot of people now NASCAR love, I just couldn't get behind. But I just loved racing. Always wanted to get into it, but never thought I had the ability to get into it. And got a phone call from a buddy one day and said, "Hey, you want to go race the 24 Hours of Lemons?" I said yes. We built a car. It's been a debacle ever since. It's been a money pit. We still racing that. After that, got into sim racing and started following Formula One and IndyCar really in depth. and really started following endurance racing from that. Say that those are my three big passions now: is endurance racing, IndyCar, and Formula One. And would like to try to get back into NASCAR, but I don't know if I'll be able to be honest. But I'd like to bring in the endurance side and the lemon side and sim endurance racing and talk about what sims are out and what's not there in today's world.
Right on. What about you, Mr. Bianchi?
All right. Hey
Mr.
guys, I'm
Professional
Antonio.
race car driver.
Nice, yeah. Hey guys, I'm Antonio. I'm the one and only Canadian on this podcast, currently living in beautiful southern British Columbia. If you're wondering what I'm doing when I'm not paying taxes, I drive a U.S. legend car around the Pacific Northwest. I'm currently 21, but I got into racing probably 16 or 17 years ago. My dad got us into quarter midget racing around at our local club here, actually the one and only track in Canada. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I grew up doing that I did that till I aged out at like 16. So after that, we ended up buying a U.S. legend car, and since then we've been racing everything pretty much that we can around the Pacific Northwest. I also grew up watching NASCAR pretty much since my dad was able to prop me up between two pillows when I was a baby. So that's funny. And since then, got into F1 in the last 6 or 7 years, just before DTS, by the way. I want to clarify that. I'm not a DTS fan. And from there, it threw me into numerous other series and stuff like endurance, like even IMSA, World Endurance Championship, stuff like that. And then I also got into the virtual world probably in early 2018, which is where I met these wonderful people, which led me to meeting Norman and one other guy, which we did a couple events like the Daytona 24, and then eventually I ended up opening my own F3 league too. So shout out League Zero.
Whoop, whoop.
And that met me these other great people too, like good old DeVito, and I met Levi prior to that too, but he's been around too racing and stuff like that. But yeah, that's I think pretty much sums up how I got into racing. How about you guys?
We got a juicy amount of racing ahead of us. There's a lot coming down the pipe. Did anyone watch the 24 Hours of Bahrain?
I did not, unfortunately.
Because I did tune in, but I didn't watch enough to know what was going on. I just saw it was on, checked it out.
Was that this past weekend?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was, and I was too busy to watch it. I was hoping.
Yeah, I missed it because
yeah.
I was trying to watch the debacle of the virtual Le Mans race and prepare for our 3-hour endurance race.
Yeah, shout out to iRacing, right? Everyone who has iRacing right now is feeling like a champ. Like that was embarrassing. What do you think's gonna happen next?
So was it on AC? Is that what it was on?
No, it was on
R Factor too.
R Factor.
Yeah, who's owned by
R-Factor
Motorsports Games.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, so that leads to the joke that you were talking about before. Okay, yeah,
Yes.
we can use that as a name because it's not going to be around much longer. Stock's plummeting. If you want to buy in, if you want to roll the dice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I never played R Factor. Does anybody here played R Factor before?
I have like 59 minutes on it.
So I mean, I guess my question is it common or is it just a one-off deal?
Isn't it more common in Europe?
It's common. It's the idea behind it is great. The issue is you run into random glitches, you run into random drops, and those are the issues that when you're in a multiplayer, it's just not stable like iRacing is.
So you're talking like it's owned by EA then? No, sorry. That's
it's
video
owned by,
game joke.
right.
owned by Motorsports Games.
Sorry.
That was
over
funny,
my
though.
head. Didn't have my backboard up on that one. So that's the issue. I would say like when it comes to like tire models and they have weather, all that stuff is great. It's just when you race online, you're playing Russian roulette with the game.
So it just needs more support. So it's like kind of like I played Project Cars and it sounds similar to Project Cars. But
More
Did you
realistic
hear-
than Project Cars. More sim than Project Cars. I would rate Project Cars as a semi-pro, and now I'm going off Project Cars 2 here. I'm not going off 3. I've never played it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
From what I've heard, pretty like realistic in a sense. They just don't have the multiplayer functionality like iRacing does. So they tend to struggle with major events and stuff like that. But I still think iRacing is a preferred game. It's just they've been kind of lacking recently with getting up with everybody else, like how we don't have rain and we don't have all this other stuff yet, and grass physics that are actually decent. So I think R Factor 2 is kind of just lucked out because Motorsports Games got the rights to the 24 Hours of Le Mans and stuff.
Yeah, and
But-
I think iRacing's licking their chops right now, saying we're not even going to try to buy these rights back because, they're losing IndyCar and they've lost Le Mans already. But Motorsports Games owns both those rights, and they haven't proven that they can have an event.
Yeah, you can't have like a nationally broadcasted event that has a 25% chance of being under red flag for 2 hours because the server, they said they got, I don't know. There's rumor that they got DDoSed or whatever, but
That's what I heard.
Like,
Same time, you've got the guy who's at the pinnacle of racing. I mean, pretty much right now, right? 2-time champion that says, "I'm done with this. I'm never coming back." That's not a good look for the brand.
Did you hear his rage quit?
Yeah,
I have it on the pipeline, boys. I already pulled it up.
Yeah, no, it's
brutal.
I think it's justified though. Like I was reading a lot of, I mean, you go on the media, everybody blasts Max for what happened in 2021, even though he decided to just drive like he would have normally, like any other driver win a championship because of the FIA messing up. But anyways, but that's besides the point. But anyways, anything this guy says apparently gets bashed for. But honestly, I thought everything he said was totally justified. Like
Yeah,
it was all fair.
They were talking about like using words like toxicity and crap like that about what he said, and I was like, he's stating what's the truth.
They called him a crybaby on the stream.
I'll put it to you this way, and
that sucks.
We all
dude.
know each other, and we know that I'm not the biggest Max fan. I think I agree with everything he says. Only thing I think he shouldn't have said is I'm uninstalling this game right now.
And his poor teammates sounded so like, oh, Max is mad. Like,
no, yeah, I mean, you got Max on your team and he just said he quit.
Here, listen real quick. Listen.
Is he approaching his final one? I wonder. He's doing a good job. He's been a driver who has definitely taken an aggressive approach to this race. At times, he has driven it like he has been in the FIA.
He looks so crushed. This is like a video of him.
Can I leave the game? Yeah. Max, we're not getting the lap back.
Yeah, we need 2 laps, but what it is, they call it it's amazingly bad luck. Well, this is just incompetence. They can't even like control their own game. And this is already the 3rd time this happens to me now that I get kicked off the game while doing this race. So it's also the last time I'm ever participating. Because what's the point? You prepare for 5 months to try and win this championship. You're leading the championship. You're trying to win this race, which you prepare for 2 months. And they handle it like this. I mean, there have been 2 red flags. They blame it on, I don't even know what, people DDoSing the server. Then they cancel the rain because probably that's already a big influence. And then people are still getting disconnected. And now, of course, at one point also we were hit by it. And then they're just not dealing with it because they need even more people to disconnect. It's just honestly it's a joke. It's not even, you cannot call this an event, a clown show. That's why it's better to retire the car, because drive around in P15 for 6 hours makes no sense for everyone. Just a disgrace for all the effort we put in as a team.
During that video, he's just like deleting, and it looks like he's just uninstalling stuff on his computer. Like he's just like rapidly exiting screens and like clicking icons and like yeah. I feel bad.
Apparently,
I-
like the last 3 out of 4 events, supposedly, like I've had this kind of issue, like where they've had a red flag because of server issues. So I mean, it's understandable. Like I'd be frustrated too, especially because we all know how much time goes into. I mean, for us as amateurs in lower splits of iRacing, we prepare quite a bit, like usually a month in advance. I can't even imagine top split guys. Like they must be doing months of practice
They
just for
said-
this to happen.
I heard that someone says it costs $2,000 per car entry.
Oh yeah, yeah. It wasn't cheap. I think it was 2,500. I don't know. I can check. I want to check.
That's unacceptable.
Wait, $2,500 to get a car into this thing?
Yes. That's the series, not that one race. It's to run the 5-race series.
Yeah, but let's just talk about who we're talking about here. Max Verstappen. The money wasn't what it was about. He's got that in his back pocket, right?
But
The grand prize was $250,000.
I really don't think he's in it for the money, but at the same time, I mean,
But still,
I like his
Well,
competitiveness.
think about
you know what I mean? Like
Drugovich,
he's-
like was his teammate. Like
yeah,
that sucks, dude.
when you race, it doesn't. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm competitive in sim just as much as I'm competitive on the real track. You know,
yeah. I mean,
Right.
like I said, I like his competitiveness. I mean, the dude don't have to be doing this stuff, but he was really putting in the time. You could
Yeah.
tell, and
Oh, I was
everybody's calling him a crybaby, and I'm like, I'd been the same darn way.
I was surprised how calm he was. I would have been throwing my
yeah, yeah. And he had a camera on him. You would have got to see some stuff like flying.
I'm
Just
sure he's
like-
learned to not do that over the years of being in front of cameras.
Oh,
Oh yeah, like you see some of those Formula One guys crash, and I've always told my wife, like, oh my God, I would be throwing my equipment as far as I could. Some of those, just like some random dude just comes in and flips you into the wall, like what happened to Zhou Guan Yu or whatever. Like,
yeah.
getting out. As soon as you get me out of my car, I'm like, hey, come here.
Well, you could be like that one red team, and keep screwing their drivers over, and you got to keep your mouth shut about it.
There you go. I would look like that guy in that
one
in
red
that,
team.
in that Italian.
Wonder who you're
karting
talking
series.
about.
Have y'all seen that the Italian karting series kid that got kicked out? He was standing next to the track throwing body work at people.
Yeah,
And then after the
Yeah, that guy was an idiot.
and then after the race, like his dad got in a fight with another kid's dad.
speared that dude. Yeah,
It was like Italian white trash, bro. I loved it.
You know what that reminds me of? One of the best NASCAR ever is when was it Tony Stewart at Bristol that threw his helmet at wasn't it a Burton?
I
think so.
Maybe it wasn't. Yeah, I'm wrong.
was
I
it?
think
Did
that's
he?
totally
Was
wrong.
he the one that ricocheted off the front windshield, or the one that like chunked it in the window and then they threw it back out? I can't remember. Somebody threw one at him in the
Oh, he threw
driver's
it to Matt
side. and he
Kenseth.
threw it back
Okay,
out.
Matt
to-
Kenseth. Yeah.
Speaking of NASCAR, did you see that Travis Pastrana is going to be driving in the Daytona 500?
No.
Oh, I didn't see that. No, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So we find, I guess he's not doing, was it motocross that was keeping him out of NASCAR?
I guess.
I remember there was like, he had like these weird stipulations when he did the truck series, and he ended up having to like get out of it because it just wasn't worth.
It's a rumor. It's not confirmed, but it's a 2311 project.
Okay.
I guess we
Travis-
should probably address Ken Block since we're talking about Travis Pastrana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That
rest
whole
in peace, my friend.
unfortunate situation. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, we kind of had a reaction to that same night in Hamlin, but yeah,
I have-
a lot of love on the
Yeah.
social media from everybody in the racing world. I mean, people that I didn't even know knew him. You know what I mean? Which is good stuff.
Yeah. He was, I've lost the word that I was looking for. Not an icon.
Pioneer.
Pioneer, yes, for
Yeah.
the racing industry. And I think he opened up really got that small market, like major power, custom
Yeah, and-
arm going.
Yeah, and the people outside the sport, like we were, everybody was like, "Who died? Who died at work?" Older fellas, tractor mechanics, for crying out loud. And I'd pull up the video, and they're like, "Oh, that guy! Yeah, I've seen that Mustang. I knew about that. I saw that. Him building that. Was it like unicorn or whatever he called it? Or whatever. They remembered him. They knew who he was. Even if they didn't know him by name. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like without him, you don't have like the Von Gittin Juniors of the world.
I don't think so. I mean, it's he didn't do like Formula Drift, so to speak, but he did, like you said, open up a lot of eyes to that kind of sport. I don't know if Rallycross was around without him. I'm pretty sure that was kind of came from him doing gymkhanas and stuff like that.
And so that there's no Tanner Faust or all those guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And like I say, like you said it right both times. Icon, pioneer. I mean, those words are what's known with his name. So.
Yeah, rest in peace, snowmobile. I still want to know the details of like he couldn't have been getting all rad on a snowmobile, and I bet it was like fresh powder in Utah, and there was like a tree branch, and it was under the snow. I don't know. I'm speculating, but I would like to know.
And why is it? It's just it's probably gonna open up a whole other weird conversation. But why is it more acceptable, like Dale Earnhardt Sr. and the way he passed away? It was on track doing what he was known for and what he loved. And then somebody like, him or Michael Schumacher, right? Go snow skiing. Now he's in a comatose for possibly the rest of his life. And it just doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? Like both of them are not right, but it just doesn't feel right.
We don't call the shots, my friend.
Yeah, true that.
Nope.
Back to the stock car racing thing. I was gonna say, you guys see anything about that Cars late model series? That
oh yeah, Junior and who else bought it? Who was with the Dale Jr. and
Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Bird, and Kevin Harvick and Justin Marks are looking to pick up the series. But it's basically like pro late model racing. That's all it is. It's like a NASCAR but pro late model, so it's kind of cool.
It's like a feeder series pretty much into like ARCA and stuff like that, isn't it?
It's pretty cool. I mean, it can transition you into other things. I mean, honestly, I'd like to see it replace ARCA. ARCA is such a waste of time, in my opinion. It's a great series and all, and the idea behind it's great, but it's just it's not feasible. Like the ARCA East and West is cool, but this like whole tour that's like nationally, I think it's a waste of time. There's just you get such a skill gap and money gap. Like it's so expensive. You're better off to go run a truck.
Yeah,
or run a late model or super late and go get noticed. Like, why would you want to run ARCA?
And it's super frustrating to me that all racing's turned into that too. I don't know if you see it at your local track, but it's like you can pay to win pretty much. I mean,
speaking of the downfall of, sorry for interrupting, but speaking of the downfall of ARCA, y'all think NASCAR's going to be around in 4 years, or do you think these owners are going to get fed up and go start their own thing?
Oh, dude, NASCAR's owned by businessmen. I think that that's the problem with NASCAR, but it's also why it won't die is because like it's owned by really smart businessmen that they don't really care about the racing per se. Like they care about the
it's an entertainment business. It's not a racing business.
Exactly. And
I think you see
really
that
good at their job.
and even in F1 now too.
Until they rid this playoff format, I don't think it's going to get any better, because honestly, there's so many things they could do to improve it to be like a high level racing series. Like, you know what? Like, as much as F1's getting this whole like, they say what do they call it? The money thing slogan that everyone cash is king or whatever.
Yep.
As much as everybody says that, I agree with all that. But you know what? At least F1 sticks to its roots with its rules. It's kept the same format. They haven't screwed around with it. They did 1 year, realized it was terrible, and didn't touch it since. Like, it's still the same, like, classic format. Yeah, it's not the same one from the 50s, but you know what? Like, it's a full-length season. The top 10 get points. Like, it's nice. Like, I don't understand why NASCAR needed to change. Like, I thought the best of both worlds was the chase. I thought it was perfect. The chase format was literally perfect because it gave you that reset to rebalance it towards the end of the season. Yeah, it's not quite as entertaining as as the playoffs. Like I won't lie, the playoffs are entertaining, but it's not good racing. You're just watching guys dump each other and do crazy stuff because they
Right.
have to.
They have to. They have no choice, man.
Pin it against the wall and go around the outside of the wall at Martinsville to get into
Exactly.
the
Yeah, I mean,
final
like,
round.
what? Could you
Like,
imagine
that's the
being
bad
Denny
thing.
Hamlin and getting eliminated that way? Like, I hate Denny Hamlin, and that was unreal. Like, I would have been
Yeah,
choked.
that's
He actually
unreal.
handled that well.
He was like, that was impressive, or whatever he said.
But the bad thing is that really what
Dang.
you want to tune in and see? You know,
No.
that a guy pins it and just throws it, like rolls the dice and hope that this works. I don't want to see. I want to see racing. I mean, that's why I
Yeah.
used to love NASCAR because they, to me, and I'll put in my 2 cents real quick. They lost me when they had the stage racing because used to in NASCAR you had your short run guys and your long run guys, and if you're a fan of a long run guy, it's over. There is no long runs anymore.
Yeah.
I like to see a guy who could keep his tires and his gas mileage. It was fun to watch. You just can't do that anymore because you know they're going to get a flag. So the cars are set up for short runs.
Yep.
Period.
I thought about why don't we move to a hybrid way of doing the stage racing? You can keep it in there. You wave the stage flag, but the caution never comes out. You just keep racing.
I don't think they care necessarily about the points, though. I think they just like the manufactured caution because it brings everyone back
Oh,
together,
yeah.
creates
Yeah.
more
Oh, yeah.
opportunities, right? That's
That's
the
the-
whole point behind it. I don't think the points actually matter. But I was going to say
I-
one more thing is the long run and short run has now just changed to, okay, do you pit before the stage to get track position or do you get your stage points, guys? That's all it is. There's no long and short run anymore. That's what it's come to.
Do you think it's because they had
no
to
shit,
simplify
yeah.
it for fans?
Sorry, what was that?
Do you think they did that because they had to simplify it for like the normal viewer? So like people could get into the strategy, but it's like the
Yeah,
simplest strategy ever, you know?
I think the
I think it
problem
is-
NASCAR's always been
You gotta
struggling
pit.
with is trying to like get like because okay, you take the most casual race fan out there and you ask them about NASCAR and they're gonna be like, "That's stupid. This car's going around in circles around the track." Whereas now you take this playoff format and you got people talking about freaking Ross Chastain riding the wall around, like trying to pertain regular racing, like oval racing, to the average casual, maybe not even fan, just sports viewer in general. It's hard to promote to. Like, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how you do it, but the problem is you can't piss everyone off in the oval racing community either while doing it. And I think that's what they're doing. Like, I don't think it's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they've lost me.
No, it
They lost me a stage race in the playoff format. I mean, like you said, right? Go back to your point, Antonio. F1 stayed true to its roots. You know, we knew who the champion was races before the season was over. I don't think they lost any F1 fans over it. It's kind of hard to say F1's on the rise. I mean, it's ridiculous how big it's getting, but especially in the Western states and whatnot over here. But yeah, I don't know. I just it's really hard for me to get back into it because I'll be like, why'd they do this? And then I find out why they did this because I haven't been around in a while, and I'm like, that's just not NASCAR.
What amazes
Maybe I'm just
me,
old school.
What amazes me is like how big NASCAR's TV numbers are, but there's nobody at the races. Like, okay, bar the Coca-Cola 600 and like the short track and dirt stuff, but like your average NASCAR race is like not packed to the gills with people. But they still
Oh, and it used to be, yeah.
crush Formula One numbers in the US still. Like NASCAR is so much bigger on Sunday than Formula One in general. And I think that includes like all like people who record Formula One and watch it later. So you can't really make a case that it's like, oh well, because Formula One's early in the morning. It just still seems like NASCAR is so dominant. But when you go to the races or you watch, like you see the crowd, like, yeah, it's like 50% full of people. It's kind of weird. And then you look at COTA and there's people pouring out of the facility. There's like 400,000 people there. They're trying to suppress the numbers because there's so many people there. And I don't know. There's a weird dynamic going on there. That's what I said is like, I think that NASCAR is just, it's owned by genius businessmen. They just know their game. They know how to generate income, period, you know?
Well, speaking of businessmen and income, two things real quick. I think that comes with also NASCAR's hard to watch because you get a commercial every like 10
True.
minutes.
Oh, I hate it. Oh,
But secondly, on that topic about the no one's at the races, my home track, Talladega, been going there since I was knee high to nothing and loved that track. But they tore the Allison grandstand down on the backstretch because they can't fill it. I haven't seen the Gadsden Tower with
Right.
fans in it in over 10 years. They put advertising in it.
I don't know. It's weird.
And you couldn't buy a ticket to that event. It was always sold out. I went from I think it was 05 to 08. I went to every spring race. We would get there Thursday night and camp out till Sunday. You had to buy your tickets by January or you weren't getting
Right.
into that race.
Wow.
And is it COVID? Like, is it just like we've been living in such a weird, screwed up world for so long now? We like it's
No,
an era, you know?
So
like,
when I say that, they started losing attendance there when I started losing my interest. Is when
I guarantee you stage racing has a relation to that because it
Yeah.
ruined plate track.
Well, plate tracks also got ruined when they started the freaking freight train around the top because the pack got too tight.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
early 2000s, I thought plate racing was at its premium where the pack could still kind of spread out, but you could still go from 30th to first in 3 laps.
so what do they do? What does NASCAR do? So, and also with the safety of the cars, all the people like getting hurt.
If I
Yeah, I
knew
was
that
getting ready to
answer,
say this.
I would be
this-
a billionaire
this-
right now.
What is it? What are they? Gen 6? Is that what they're calling this one?
Are they just going to rely on all these new fresh?
7.
It's Gen 7. So yeah, I mean,
Are they going to rely on Haley Deegan to save NASCAR?
Yeah, we've already had that, right? Danica Patrick didn't save NASCAR.
Oh my god!
And I rooted for her. I did. She was very talented in an IndyCar. I thought. It's all personal. I'm sure you guys will bash on me, but she wasn't the greatest of all time. She's not like last name Andretti or anything, but she was decent. You know what I mean? She held her own over there in Indy.
She shouldn't have come to NASCAR.
True story. It's a different ball game. Juan Pablo tried the same thing. It's just different.
Yeah.
Well, then he had a jet dryer.
Oh, let's not even go there. I stayed up for that one. That was a late night.
That race would not end. What?
Oh,
that race started
no.
Sunday and ended on Tuesday?
Yeah. So going back, yeah, I went Circuit of the Americas and not Circuit of the Americas, sorry. Texas Motor Speedway when they had the COT. That's what I was trying to say. The car tomorrow. I don't know if you remember that piece of crap brick with wheels, but and I hated the car, but we got tickets. Me and my dad, buddy and his dad went down, stayed in a camper whole weekend. It's a good time. That was the last time I went down there, but I remember it being just like Saturday was kind of busy, but you could find a seat. There was zero elbow room at Texas Motor Speedway on Sunday.
Wow.
It was packed. That was the weekend.
How it was when I was there.
Yeah, it was the weekend that McDowell smoked it in qualifying so bad, and they had to rebuild the wall.
That was a bad one.
In that 00 Aaron's car, Aaron's dream machine.
I remember watching that qualifying. That's how big I used to be into this. I watched qualifying.
That was Texas?
Yeah.
I thought that was like Dover or something.
No, that was Texas. I was there, man. It was crazy. So somebody blew an engine or something. There was some fluid on the track. And me and my buddy, we talked about it that night while we were drinking some beers back at the camper. But we swear that it had to have been because when he went into one, like the what do you call it? Like kitty litter, whatever you want to call it, quick dry, just went flying in the air, and then his car just broke. I think they hadn't really got the track cleaned up good enough.
Ooh.
But regardless, he smoked the wall at like max speed pretty much. And took a hard right, smacked the wall. They had to get welders out there. It was like a 2-hour
Ooh.
deal to fix the wall.
It's cursed. I was there during the playoff race. Stayed for the whole thing. That was horrible. Some of those wrecks were gnarly though. And the whole Denny Hamlin getting spun under caution. There was a lot of drama. Yeah. Everyone, because leading up to that race, of course, and I understand, that Texas is not a good track. but everyone was like, "Oh, it's gonna suck." Like, man, and the drivers, man, during the interviews before the race were just like, "This is the worst track. Like, they should just tear it down and rebuild it." Like Kyle Larson and Bubba Wallace. Like, I was standing there for all those interviews, like, "Whoa, this is like aggressive. This is definitely gonna get replayed on TV." Like,
Yeah.
like,
You're in the background waving. I am
like,
going to be on TV.
whoa, like, did you just say that out loud at Texas Motor Speedway? Like, whoa. And
Yeah, they're good listeners. They made Atlanta a super speedway too, and they were like, "Oh, let's copy Texas."
oh no, and I don't know what they're gonna do, but that race as a viewer was entertaining. You know, I'm sold. They made the grandstands look packed because they like sectioned off the end of both ends of the grandstands, so everyone was consolidated in the middle. So on TV it looked packed, but it wasn't. It was probably like
See
half
that?
full.
That's
what
where
they
I
did at
said.
Dega.
Yeah, that's where I said it. Texas was turd one all the way down in the last set of seats. That's the only tickets we could get.
Yeah, all those
So-
had like sponsorship banners hanging over the
Crazy.
seats
Crazy.
for the playoff race. Yeah.
So at Dega, I used to always start in the Gadsden Tower. That's where I started going to races. That was coming out of turn 3 at pit road entry. And when the cars would come by there it doesn't matter where you sit in that at that track. When the cars come around on lap 2, when they're finally are up to speed, and the Gadsden Tower, when they would come by, they would push so much air and were so loud, the actual tower would shake.
That's awesome.
Dude,
That's
and
cool.
and you would get that great ozone smell in the air too as they come by with race fuel mixed into it.
Love it.
Oh yeah, it and stuff. And from there, I moved to the Tri-Oval Tower, which is a much bigger tower at Talladega. It's right there along pit road. You know, I'd be like row 43 up. I could see the whole track. I was right up under the spotters, and it wouldn't shake because it just was a much bigger tower, had a lot more reinforcement in it. But still, it was great views. And then towards the end of it, you would start seeing the Gadsden Tower and the Aniston Tower, which is entering turn 1. They started getting covered up with sponsorships.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking. But I think that had to do with a lot of people not wanting to go watch the freight train. I fell asleep, or not fell asleep, but was dozing off during one of the races because I think they ran before stage racing. They ran something like 80 laps at Talladega and a freight train against the wall.
No, I know. I think I watched that one because I think Dale Jr. was still racing, and he was like, he got in the lead, you know, and so they were just driving around. He was on the radio because I used to get the radios and all that stuff, and he was on the radio talking about how bored he was. He's like, "This is just boring." He's like, "I wish somebody would pull out and try to race me."
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty bad when you're in the lead at Talladega and you're talking about how boring it is.
yeah.
But
So-
anyways, hopefully they'll do better. Hopefully we'll get something out of it. You know, I mean, if the fan base is there, I just don't understand why they don't ask the fan base. I mean, NASCAR's always been kind of one of those that's trying
Right.
to bend toward
I think it's
the fan.
the two fan bases. You've got your hardcore like guys that our buddy Marshall calls me. He's like, "Yeah, we all know you're a 90s NASCAR fan." It's like, "Yeah, but that's what I grew up with. That's what I want to still see." But I don't
Same
think
way
we can
with-
get
yeah.
I don't think we can get back to it. I just
No, but they can get closer. They could do something to change it where they could get some old bastard like me to be back into it.
Right.
well, you keep
You guys
your
want to
old
laugh? I
What?
grew up
What's up?
watching. Like 08 to 2014 was my prime watching. Isn't that funny? I actually thought like
Wow.
from those years it was good racing. That's what's crazy. I mean, it was, to be fair. Like I had no perspective of the 90s. Like I mean, I was negative like 12 or something in the 90s. So
There was some
But
good
then-
fist fight. Well, there was some good pushing around. I won't call them fist fights. So there was some good pushing around that time, if I remember right. Some good rivalries.
but you look
I
at
thought-
it. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say I thought once they got rid of the big ass wing on the car of tomorrow, like I thought the racing wasn't horrible. Like don't get me wrong, it's definitely not as good as like the 90s and stuff looked from like what I've seen from clips and just educating myself on old NASCAR. But I don't think it was like horrendous. I think it's really only gotten bad since like 20. I want to say it really declined in like 2018, maybe 2017. Like I thought as soon as Gordon retired, the sport went to garbage. Like the racing
Took a hit.
Like as soon as
Took a
Stewart and Gordon left, I thought that was like the final hoorah. Like, and now we're about to lose Harvick. Like, who's even left that's old? I mean, Jimmy came back, but do we really care? I mean, his last 4 years were garbage. I mean, if he can pull something, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to not. I don't want to see him be unsuccessful. Like, if he's great, I'll be happy. Like, but I mean, do I think something crazy is gonna happen? No, but
No. Yeah.
Like, and what is that? Because Elliott come in and he wins. I just can't get. I get behind him. I like the guy. Don't get me wrong, Hendrick, whatever. But it's hard for me to get behind him. Like go out and buy his T-shirts, buy his hats, and watch him every Sunday and get behind him. I wonder what the difference is between the guys we have now and the guys we had.
There's not as much character, I find. Yeah, there's no personality.
Okay.
And they're
True
trying
story,
with
true
that.
story.
They're trying with that USA show, and it's entertaining if you're a race fan, but it's, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I think that they're going to listen. I think there's some pressure. Like NASCAR is not going to have like a split, right? But I think with this like late model series and old Tony Stewart's what is it, SRX series, I think that like NASCAR's under pressure to put on good racing because like just like, you know, it's only a matter of time before someone who's not retiring leaves NASCAR for one of these other series. I mean, that's how IndyCar got created. It was what was IndyCar used to be called? It was the kart. Yeah. And IndyCar series came from people leaving kart. So I think NASCAR has no choice but to step up. It looks like IMSA's stepping up. The IMSA
I don't
races
think a late model series is going to knock them off the podium, though, of the top step of stock car racing. I don't think they'll let that happen. If anything, they could probably just buy it out. But I genuinely believe that NASCAR has the ability to reel it back in. But I think this next 5 years is really going to tell, because if you really think about it, in the next 5 years, like we said, we're going to lose Harvick. You're going to lose Kyle Busch. As much as everybody hates that guy, you need someone like that in the sport, man. You need someone. I actually like him for that exact reason. He gives the sport personality. Like you're going to lose some big names here. Like, who's even left of like guys that are like Harvick leaves. That's the last guy to race with Senior.
Logano's been around a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, you go look at the list of drivers, just like dry personality, or maybe not necessarily dry. Like, I don't want to diss them, but maybe just we haven't seen them much. Like, my favorite driver is Ryan Blaney. I mean, I can't lie, he doesn't have a whole lot of personality outside of the sport. Like he does some cool stuff. He's a great guy. He's like your typical redneck. He's dope, but he ain't out there like, you know, doing some crazy stuff over the mic, complaining and causing havoc, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they're all pretty, like, tamed and relaxed, and I don't know. I almost feel like the media influence nowadays is part of that problem, because you say anything and you get blasted immediately.
Yeah, I think that's the issue, is the old NASCAR guys, they told you what they thought, and they told you what they really thought. And that's what's great about the personalities. That's what would make you hate a driver and love a driver, is what does he think about, you know, Jim Bob Hooton, who spun him. And then they would meet up in the pits and they would throw punches at each other's face. And you would be looking next week to see at Bristol who was going to put who in the wall.
Do you think it's because of the format, there's a general lack of interest in like the upper mid and back pack of drivers? Like, there's really no incentive to race hard, or do you know what I mean? Like, that's not
the regular season is meaningless right now. Right. If I'm being honest with you.
Right. Like,
other than winning, just win once and you're good.
So do you think they change it? I don't know. See,
I think they need to get rid of the win and you're in. Like, get rid of win and you're in is a big step. And I honestly think going back to a chase format would be better. Like, right. I get you need some sort of playoff system to maintain entertainment. Like you definitely do. Don't get me wrong, especially nowadays. Like keeping someone's interest for a 4-hour race that goes green to checkered because the Coke 600 nobody decides to spin out. Like that's impossible. It's not going to happen. But you know what I mean? Like you need some sort of incentive, but I don't know if the playoff format's the way to go because it's just really not a deserving winner like gets the trophy. Like even like I'm trying to think of an example recently, but
I think the only deserving winner, full-on deserving winner, was Kyle Larson 2 years ago.
yeah, and Larson almost didn't win it off of like some late race stuff. Like
Yeah.
he almost didn't win it. I was so happy that he came back and won it because if he didn't, I would have been choked. Like he literally clapped everyone's cheeks the entire season and almost lost it because of something in the last race. And I don't know. It's dumb. I
That
think it's
shouldn't
crazy.
happen.
Yeah, that layout's not for racing fans. It's for TV fans.
To put it to you this way, I am not a Hendrick fan. That's just growing up. I didn't like Jimmy Johnson. I didn't like Jeff Gordon.
Lame.
It's just who I am. I'm a Hendricks hater, and it's no rhyme or reason. It's just how I grew up. And I was I would have been pissed if Larson didn't win that race. I was like, he deserves this championship. He's done everything that they've asked for him this whole season. And then, like I said, a late race caution almost blew it for him. And he dominated that race.
Did you see that he's going to be in the Indy 500?
No, I have not seen that.
Yeah. McLaren is giving him a bid for the Indy 500.
Talk about a
You
career
have to
that
qualify.
went great
but-
to crap to awesome.
Oh, dude, I think it's a tough statement to say, but he's definitely one of the top 10 guys on 4 wheels in the world. I think.
Yeah.
Homie
who
can
is this?
drive a car. Kyle Larson.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
no,
tough
without
to
a
say.
doubt.
Dude, he can
That's
drive.
tough to say.
He can drive. Well, okay, top 25 in the world. I want to see him do.
Let's see what he
let's
does
see
in the
Indy.
Indy car.
Let's
and
see
then,
Indy, man.
Then we can start making those kind of statements. He's great on
Because there's
dirt.
been a lot of guys that, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
He's great on dirt.
Yeah,
He's great in closed fenders. What is he with open wheels in an oval?
A master.
He wins the
We'll find out.
500. We'll give it to him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't know. The only reason I say that's a tough statement because there's been a lot of guys that have transferred from the dirt to NASCAR, and those guys are decent at road racing. I mean, I can name probably 5 of them. You know what I mean? That have done it. And so in road racing in a NASCAR, I guess I better say that. It's a different ball game, a different breed when you can go over to Indy and be competitive, plus dirt, plus NASCAR with the oval and road.
He gonna do it. You know it.
Speaking of
I
that,
hope so.
is he running the Rolex?
No, I wish.
I wish.
Hear me out though. You can't
There's
really
a lot
deny
of
that
it
he's
would.
like not a phenomenal driver. It's just like it's really hard to rank drivers because there's so many different scenes. Like you can't really be the jack of all trades in racing.
Right.
You're just good at. You can specialize in like 1 or 2, but you really can't be good at everything. Like you can be mediocre at everything.
Didn't find out.
But if you clap
Future
cheeks
episode.
on rally, you're not going to clap cheeks in Formula One. I'm sorry, you won't. Like, there's no way you will. I mean, I guess you know. I guess Kimi Räikkönen is the standing proof of that. You can. But anyways, that's besides
My
the
boy
point.
Kimmy.
I
boy
think
Kimmy.
if you take the 3 different, or well, 2 or 3 different types of racing, whatever you want to call it, even just dirt and asphalt, like generally, you can't be amazing at everything. I've yet to see someone who excels in all different types. So I feel like
Tony's
taking a top list of drivers is impossible to do because there's so many.
Yeah, Tony
factors.
Stewart, he wasn't at the top of his game when he was an open wheel, but he was competitive when he'd come and do it, you know, in Indy and stuff like that. So,
You know what makes me mad about? They need to move the Indy 500 to earlier so you can do the Coke 600 and the Indy 500 again and do the 1100.
yeah, that was crazy when people used to do that. I don't know how they did it, honestly.
Hello?
Especially back then, you know, the athleticism in racers was not what it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, there are some cool names on the list for Daytona 500, though. I mean, not the 500, the 24-hour. Scott Dixon is racing with Cadillac, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a who does he race for in IndyCar?
Chip Ganassi.
Yeah, Ganassi. That's a Ganassi car. Ganassi's running 3 cars, I think 2 in IMSA and 1 in WEC this season.
It's awesome. And Sebastian Bourdais is his teammate. And Ringer
Colton
Van
Herta
Zyl.
is running too. He's running a hybrid BMW.
Yep. Herta. Louis Delatraz is running a
It's a lot of
Acura.
Indy drivers. Tom Bloomquist, Sam Pagenaud, or Simon Pagenaud.
What?
Sam. The hell am I talking about? Who
Sam's
else?
his cousin.
Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin. Like, there's a lot of dudes in here.
I can't
I
wait
wonder
to
why
meet
that is
Elio.
this year. What does anybody know what the push is for Indy to be coming over this year?
Austin Cindric too.
A lot of
He's born.
IndyCar drivers run IMSA, like, I wouldn't say full time, but like part time. For like all the big
Yeah,
events,
okay.
they bring them in as the 3rd or 4th driver, which I think is a really good thing. And they try to bring NASCAR drivers in because what a lot of people don't understand is NASCAR owns IMSA.
Right.
They kind of just go hand in hand to the road racing stuff. Like, I feel like everybody know. Like, if you know F1, you got to. Yeah, I feel like you got to know IMSA too,
Yeah.
Gosh, there's
Yeah.
so many cars.
and all that other stuff. Like, and WEC. Well, WEC, I guess, more would be the relation as opposed to IMSA because IMSA is American. But
Well, there's
Yeah,
going to
it's
be
crazy.
the top series. Like, that's what I'm excited about. This new whole LMDH. I know it's not, I forget what it's called for IMSA, but I always call it the LMDH.
GTP.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I don't know. I'm pulling for Cadillac because their car just sounds the best.
how do we feel about the speed
It
difference,
does.
though? I feel like that hybrid is ridiculously like the speed compared to GTs is unreal.
At least in iRacing, that was like uncool.
Oh man, I feel like it's got to be the same in real life. Like, damn,
It has
those
to
things
be.
haul.
Yeah, they're fast.
Yeah, but they're slower than an LMP one, supposedly.
Really?
Yes.
What?
How?
I don't
Does it have
know.
less downforce or something, or is it power?
Well,
Oh,
that
they
thing that's
look
one of the
awesome.
regulations they have on them is you're given a downforce number. That's how they open the design up on the car. Is you're given a downforce number. You can't go over. You can't produce this much downforce over that much downforce. So then that's why you
They do
get
it
all
by
these.
like weight. Like
Yeah, it's gotta be a
pounds of
pound,
downforce.
Yeah,
Pounds of downforce, yeah.
yeah, and that's why you have the who is it without the rear wing? Peugeot. That's running. They're not in IMSA, but they're running WEC, and they don't have a rear wing because they all
What?
create their downforce from the floor pan.
We don't need a rear wing.
We don't need
One-
no stinking.
Sebring's gonna be rough for that car.
Yeah, it is.
What is ground downforce? That does
Wow.
not exist at Sebring.
Ground effect, yeah, coming over those bumps.
Oh,
Mind you, I don't think Sebring's good for any car. Let's be honest.
but I love that track.
Oh,
I would love to race more than 30 minutes at that track. That would be great after last.
Oh my gosh, Antonio.
Weekend.
I love my traction control not to screw me over.
Still mad. Still mad. Still mad.
Oh, it doesn't have a rear wing. That's so weird.
Yeah.
We don't need a thinking a rear wing. Stupid Americans with their downforce.
Spin on your rear wheel.
And just like that, we're demonetized in France.
Demonetized.
That's okay.
French hate.
So, but yeah, and there's
It's-
a lot of speculation
good,
out here
but-
with the limited testing because of parts that these cars aren't getting. That an LMP2 could actually could win the overall win if they all have issues.
Oh man,
That'd be crazy.
I'm pumped. It's gonna be awesome.
If you're that LMP2 team,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're getting it and you kind of see the window open, you'd be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm excited here in what we're 2 weeks away, the final weekend of January for the Rolex 24.
Yep.
And what we have 5 classes of cars on track now.
We have yes.
I think if
Yeah.
you
Does
include
anybody got a
GTD
car
and
count?
GTD Pro separate.
GTD Pro. Yeah, if you count those separate, there are 5 classes. 61.
Has anybody
cars
got a
on grid.
complete
I
61
think it's
cars?
61. Yeah, it's like 60 something.
That's a lot of
insane.
cars.
Yeah.
It's a
Not
lot of
that
traffic.
big of a track.
No, that's what I'm
No.
saying. That's a lot of cars. Like at Le Mans, that's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And Lap
bad for
Zero
Daytona, it's a
GTs.
different
bringing you
ballgame.
live coverage. I'm so excited that
Jealous.
I want to see I can't wait to watch the whole race from one seat. That blows my mind. That
I'm
like
surprised they don't drop LMP3 and 2 or 3. Sorry, not 2.
being able to see the bus stop and the infield and turn 1 and all of it from one seat is mind blowing.
So I've never been to like that kind of endurance race. Is it just a general admission ticket, or do they
Yeah.
so you don't have like an actual assigned seat? You just get to go wherever you want.
I was blown away at how affordable the 4-day with garage access. I paid $120 a ticket. 4-day, it's general admission. You get full access to all the grandstands. You can sit wherever you like. You can move whenever you want. You get pit lane access and track access before and after the race. Roar before the 24. There's an MX5 race. Like we're flying out on Wednesday, and there's stuff to do all of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
All right,
Nonstop.
your one goal is
Love
to
it.
steal the Cadillac and take it for a spin around the track. Tell me how it feels.
Like it's a little overwhelming. Like for only $120, like $30 a day. That's awesome.
That is crazy, actually.
I'm gonna eat it up, dude. And they're selling out of parking spaces and stuff. I've heard that this is gonna be the highest attendance 24-hour of Daytona in recent history. Like they're expecting 150,000 people or something like that.
What else can you go to for $30 a day?
Dude, I know. That's like
In
monster
Daytona.
truck race in
January.
Like I know.
I'm definitely
What do you not like about that?
Well, I was joking with my wife, like, we should go to the 24-hour Daytona. And of course, it was like, no. And we looked at the tickets and it was like, oh, okay, sure. Like, that's not, I mean, dude, when we went to Coda, we sat at turn 1. And for 3-day grandstand tickets, it was like, before tax, it was $650 a seat for a 3-day at turn 1. And they got even more expensive last year. They were over $1,000.
Yeah.
So sit anywhere in Daytona with garage access, all of the autographs and like all of the stuff, $120. And,
I'm
and
envious, bro.
the hotels were cheap too. It was Florida. I mean, it's Florida.
I'm thinking I'm gonna go next year.
It looks like Alex and Joe Penn are going. Also,
That's cool. Meet up with them. A couple other guys. we race with.
They both
Big
are freaking, and they're like big endurance guys. That's all they watch.
I'm just gonna follow him around.
If you can sit in a Discord channel with Joe and have him not talk about IMSA at some point, I would be amazed.
Yeah, I've noticed that. That's why I'm pumped.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted.
I'm
If you
hoping
can
it,
sit in a
every time I
channel
hear you
for
start-
longer than 10 minutes without him trying to convince you that endurance racing is the most goated racing ever to be created, I will personally give you $100.
It's Canadian money. It don't mean as much. Give me some real maple syrup. I don't want your $98.73.
Okay, you know what? Fine. I'll give it to you in freedom units.
like Austin is such a short drive away. Like I only live 3.5 hours from Coda, but the tickets are so expensive we don't go anymore.
Oh yeah. No, my dad,
Like-
when he did that, he booked it all and he told me, how much, whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he goes, look, dude, I'm paying your way. It's something that I wanted to do. I told myself if they ever come back to America in a new track, I'm going. And he goes, I will never do this again. He said that was so much money but it's the inaugural season. It was pretty cool. The track was kind of raw, but yeah, it's expensive, dude.
Did you go to
You only-
NASCAR Coda, Dave?
Oh, sorry. One more time.
Did you go to NASCAR at Coda?
No, but we're thinking of going this year. But it's a toss up between Indy at Texas or NASCAR at Coda because they're one weekend after another. And We don't
I
want,
see.
it's a little much to do both. I mean, Texas is really big. So even though they're both like here, it's like cumulatively 20 hours of driving with round trips and like 4 nights of hotel stay and with a baby total. So we're like tossing a coin between Indy at Texas, which I think would be awesome. You know, I think like Indy at Texas would be a good race. And
That would be a
cool.
fun one to go to, and it's not going to be around after this season.
Yeah, right. And then NASCAR at Coda's cool, but like if and like Levi, maybe you can vouch, but like if you've been to Coda, it's a great atmosphere, but like it's not really great spectating.
No, it isn't. And
It's-
where we sit, and it was the first, season. They didn't know what was going on, and so we actually sit at like turn 6, which there isn't even stands there. You can sit on the ground, but
Yeah.
they just took the stands completely up. It looked like so all we're looking at before then. I mean, we were watching the track getting built. So my dad's like, "Where do you want to sit?" and all this other stuff. We're looking at the layout, and it looks 5 and 6 kind of look like a passing 6, and 7, 5, 6, 7. But there's such an uphill there that it's literally just keep the car on a track.
Yeah.
As much of Coda is, unfortunately. But you do really, it's not really a passing zone. And we got to see all the cars go through there at decent, slow speed. Got some cool pictures from back in the day on a crappy phone. But
Yeah, it's stadium
yeah,
section
it's just
or
not a
die
spectator.
at Coda. Like
Yeah.
you have
Yeah, I
to
think
sit
if you
in
were-
like turn 15 area at the
If
end
you're
of
at the end of the
straight.
straight, the back straight, you could probably see some action. But that's
But those seats
yeah.
are outlandish and they sell out immediately. It sucks. But yeah, I mean, so
Yeah,
I'm kind of where I was segueing this though is like the accessibility of IMSA and NASCAR versus Formula One. Like I'm not a huge NASCAR fan, never really have been. But when I went to the playoff race at Texas, like I kind of felt like I had a VIP experience. Like it was really cool. Like I got to get signatures from drivers. Like AJ Allmendinger signed my kid's Lightning McQueen toy. It was super cool.
Nice.
Like picked him out and was like, yeah, hey, what's up? Like future NASCAR fan. As a dad, I'm like, I love NASCAR. Like this is great, and it was so cheap and like, a big factor too was I carried in a 12-pack of my own beer and no one said a thing, which was like
Word.
a life-changing experience as a sports fan, get
Mhm.
tackled at the stadium doors at any other function for doing that.
It's
So I mean,
been
like,
something that NASCAR's always been open to.
oh, there's a case for it, dude. I'm sold. Like, I went to that race and like I left. Like now I'm like excited for the season because I'm just like daydreaming of that high, honestly, of walking past that security guard with a 12-pack of beer. like I'm gonna live that a little bit every time I watch a NASCAR race, baby, and that is awesome.
It's the first sign you're an alcoholic.
Yeah, I know. Thanks. But it was cool. A random stranger cried in front of me about Dale Earnhardt, which I thought was both touching and hilarious at the same time. I kid you not. Some random guy was just like, we were talking about, I was wearing a Joey Logano shirt, right? I like Joey Logano. Okay, that's a different conversation. But I was wearing a Joey Logano shirt and he goes, "Don't tell me that's a Joey Logano shirt," right? And I'm like, "Oh, it is. Like it's my first race, and I'm just happy to be here, And this dude put his hand on my shoulder and he goes, "I've been a NASCAR fan my whole life." And then he pauses real long and he goes, "I cried for 8 hours the day Dale died." And he starts crying. This is Saturday, like qualifying, right? This isn't even the race. Like this is Saturday. And he proceeds to tell me his whole story about how he's on the plane and his sister called him and all this. Anyway, it was passion on a level that I have not seen for a ticket under $80.
I understand where
You
that
know what
guy's
I
coming
mean?
from because I still get choked up talking about Davey Allison.
Still, but I was like, man, for
Cheap entertainment.
like,
Is that what
wow.
you're saying?
Yeah, like these, but it's passion on a high level. Like if you're into it, you're into it. Like you're into it all the way into it. There was no in between.
Yeah,
and there was all kinds of people there. It wasn't just like, I don't know, older racing fans with Dale Earnhardt jackets. Like there was a lot of different people there. It was really cool. So maybe they are
Yeah,
on
I
the
would-
up and up, and we just don't see it.
I
Yet.
would consider yourself a friend, but just kind of like the passion thing. I can't believe you wore a Joey Logano shirt to a race.
That's
Oh man,
sketchy.
I got cojones, man.
Are you a Penske
You got
fan too?
something.
I like Penske. I like
Love
Ryan.
to see it.
Oh,
I'm
I
a
like
Blaney
Ryan,
fan.
I like Ryan Blaney a
I am
lot
too,
too.
but that's the only one.
Yeah.
Wish he'd
Oh,
leave
what?
that
Ryan
team.
Blaney? Oh, Blaney,
Yeah, he
baby.
needs to leave that team and go to Hendrick.
Oh, Penske is not that bad.
No,
it's just
Penske's the
Logano.
goat.
It's just Logano. He's not that bad.
See, why
I
does-
like
Brad?
him.
Why does
I
everybody
like him because he's a shithead. That makes him
Brad
great.
K?
Yes.
Come on now,
Okay,
Brad
okay,
K.
okay. Brad kind of looked like some dude kicked his head in, and that's about it. But dude,
I
Brad,
think-
Brad looks like that dude who you just want to like knock the hell out in high school because he just looks like an asshole.
I think Joey's a really good race car driver, and I think he just wants to win, and I get it. And so like I don't
Oh, 100%.
I'm not mad. Like, and then like at the race, even like, so I was sitting next to, I had some Ryan Blaney fans on my right hand side, and then I had
Love to see
like
it.
some, just old school. They were Matt Kenseth fans, is what they were. Sitting next to me, and they were like they were laying into me the whole race because Logano was running second. Like he was doing really good that race. So every time he came by, I was like, woo. And they're like, whatever, like trash or whatever they were saying. Dude, it was a long race, man. Like how many cautions were there? Like 11,000. I don't remember,
Yeah.
but we drank a lot of beer. And they started showing me videos of like, look, like he's a total, whatever. We don't want to demonetize, but they're using some strong words. And I was like, no, he's racing. Like show me a rule where he can't do that. Like, okay, pushed him out of the way. Good for him.
About Truex at Martinsville.
Yeah, like get out of my way. Like that sucked. Okay, yeah, that sucked. But like, I don't know. I think he's hungry.
Oh,
I can
I mean,
respect
like,
it.
it's understandable though. Like, if he doesn't mind being raced that way too, I mean, like, who cares?
And then he won championship. So I'm like, come at me, like
If you're gonna race that way, you got to learn how to throw hands, though.
I like his
Oh, yeah, I
videos
do
though
agree
when he
with that.
was
I do agree
was
with
young.
He
He's
was in
like
the
such-
fight where they fought with their helmets on, right?
Well, yeah, that was one of them. And then there was the one where I think it was Tony Stewart went to talk to him, and then his dad got in the way. And then after he's getting pulled away, he threw a water bottle and nailed Stewart's head like from 50 yards away. And I'm like, you didn't want none when you were standing right in front of him, young gun.
Who was
Dude,
the
I know.
driver
Take a
who
deep breath and
like
calm down.
started
I know.
talking shit behind their crew chief? And like
I
wouldn't
don't know,
get
but it
behind,
sounds like Logano.
it wouldn't
I don't
get
know.
that
All I remember is
behind
Gordon and Boyer.
probably.
Wouldn't
And,
come
like,
up
you guys
from
remember-
behind his crew chief. I was like, wow, come on, man.
You guys remember Gordon and Boyer? That was such a good fight too. I loved what was it, Mike Joy? He's like, somewhere at the bottom of that pile is Jeff Gordon.
Oh yeah, that was when he got his was it his lip busted open or something? He came out of there bleeding.
That was hilarious. Oh man,
Oh,
I
I
miss
think the-
Gordon racing. He was awesome.
I'm telling you, and the one time that I was actually kind of back Brad K because he came up, junior motorsports. And anyways, and then he went to the big racing and started doing Brad K things. And there was one time that he was really bad about like talking a bunch of trash, and then he'd walk away. And Harvick, like as soon as the race is over, Harvick jogs down there to stand there with his arms crossed. Brad K goes to walk away, and he pushes him with his foot. I'm pretty sure it was either his foot or like his hand, but he like pushes him in the back, like, "Nah, get back in there." And when he did, whoever Brad K was talking to grabbed a hold of him, and they started going at it. It was great. All Harvick did was stood there just to make sure he didn't walk away. It was like, "Nah, you need to go in there. Get back in there." Sorry, I like the violence. I watch hockey. Sorry.
They might allow it more this year. I don't know. The reception, there was a lot of shenanigans last season, and NASCAR got more retweets or whatever than ever last year. But whether it was the Ty Gibbs being a little or Ty
Yeah.
Gibbs not being a little, which was sad. But like the Bubba Wallace thing and the Ross Chastain thing, and like we might see even more shenanigans this year. There's all kinds of crazy people in the Daytona 500. Like it might not be at rock bottom yet.
You know, while
Hey,
we're on
and
the
you got
topic of accessibility, I was going to say, you know what's one thing that frustrates me a little bit about NASCAR though, compared to like F1 or IMSA or other stuff, and this might be just me being in Canada, but it is so hard to watch all these different types of racing, like once the race is over or even live, like NASCAR, for example. If you miss the PVR, you're done. You missed the race. You're not watching it anywhere. It's not coming out on any streaming service. It's on nothing. F1, they got their own streaming service. I can watch live. I can watch drivers in cars. I can go watch it later after the race. I can watch it 2 years later if I wanted to. Try doing that with NASCAR. It's impossible. Or try doing even IMSA. IMSA's pretty good because they got IMSA TV, but like the Rolex 24, I'm pretty sure Canada's got no coverage. Like I got nothing.
wow.
Like if you're outside of the US, it's garbage. I can't lie for anything that's American, whether it's football, soccer,
sucks.
freaking anything.
Canadian rant.
No,
That
man, but in
sucks.
general, it's terrible. Like it's not good though. Like even in the US, where can you
Yeah.
watch NASCAR after the race is over
You
if you didn't
can't.
PVR it?
And-
You can't.
Well,
And I'm pretty sure I'm going to show date myself a little bit. We used to have DirecTV, and they had the DirecTV. What was it called? Something Pass, of course, Race Pass or something like that. And you could either pick your driver, or they would have the top 4 drivers. They did it kind of back and forth, or the top 4 drivers that they picked, fan based. But then they would show like they had a camera on their pits at all time. They had a camera on the car at all time, and they had a camera on in the car at all times. And also you could hear the radio
That would be
through the whole
tight.
race.
As a
And so I used to watch
DirecTV
the Dale
subscriber.
Earnhardt Jr. channel. This is
Oh,
what I would watch on DirecTV.
dude.
Then they said that the people quit watching the, NBC, ABC, whatever was on at the time. ESPN, I don't even think it was around, with NASCAR. But whatever it was on at the time, the viewership went down so much with them having a Dale Earnhardt Jr. channel. They said they either got to quit with the Dale Earnhardt Jr. channel, or they've got to just quit it altogether. And they quit it altogether. And me and my wife shut it off. That was pretty much why we had the service.
We don't want DirecTV no more. We don't get Dale. We don't get DirecTV. That's it.
Hashtag do it for Dale.
Race hell, praise Dale.
You said you're turning off my Dale Jr. TV.
Hold up
that's
that
game
3
over,
every third
honey.
lap.
Welcome to the Cletus McFarland YouTube channel.
Doing it for his daddy, Dale Jr. is my boy.
Oh
Got the
man,
Dale truck.
I love me some Dale Jr. Honestly,
going back
No,
to
but that is.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that is what you're talking about. Like if you could go watch the Blaney channel, you would be on that all the time. You would record
Yeah,
that.
white
You'd
on
watch
rice,
the race
baby.
from his. Yeah, I mean, why do you? And then I think one of them they would change, like the pit road. One would change to broadcast, and you could flip through the different channels. Like you could listen to the open mic like theirs, or you could listen to the broadcast. It just gave you some stuff to look at. I don't know why they wouldn't go back to that.
I don't understand because F1 does it. You can watch driver cams. Like I watched.
Oh no, I do it all the time.
I don't. Okay, I don't have anything against Lewis Hamilton at all. I just didn't want to see him win the season that Max won, mostly because I wanted to see someone else win for once. Because in my time of watching F1, all it was is Lewis Hamilton's prime time.
Yep.
So, anyways, moving on. Nothing wrong with the guy, but
it's in anymore.
I watched his perspective of Brazil when he drove from 20th to 1st, that entire race. And I was a Max fan at the time. I mean, I'm not actually a Max fan. I just, he's a good guy. He's cool and all, but I was a Max fan temporarily for that season just because I wanted to see someone else win. And I watched Lewis. Like, what does that tell you? Like, if F1 can do it, why can't we do it? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you're taking anything away from it. There's still all the sponsors that are in the car, like all the other stuff you're going to see still. I mean, yeah, you're taking away from some of the commercials from the live broadcast, but I assure you, man, 90% of fans are going to prefer the broadcast. Like, just give it to the 10% of the diehard fans who want to see the in-cars. Like, you know what I mean?
Make an app. I mean, like you said, I think I pay $10 a month for the F1 app. I pay it.
I do.
Let me pay it.
I pay it.
But
I pay during the
But
off
so-
season.
Yeah, me too.
so here's the problem with it, and I think you said it before, I don't remember who said it. We might all agree to it, but it's a business now. You know what I'm saying? And they got these contracts with these NBC, all these people that they have these on. It's going to take viewers away from that TV.
But you'd think
So
with
you're
the
going
marketing
to
knowledge,
lose that money.
you think with the marketing knowledge that they have as business people, though, they'd understand that you could outreach so many more people outside of just the US of A just by having a streaming service. Like, how is that not a thing?
A web
That's
based.
essential
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah,
Like, am I
everybody's got
wrong?
one, right?
Like with things like Flow Racing coming out, you got Motorsport TV. Like you got all these streaming services. Even what do they call that new one that's out? That watches the Premier League. It's something F. I don't know. Anyways,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Fubo. But like they got all these streaming services. How do we not have one that's either A, picked up NASCAR, or B, how do they not have their own thing? Because honestly, this deal they got with Fox and NBC and stuff, where you get NBC Gold, it's only available in the US. Like what? How does that make any sense?
Maybe that's the problem. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's US services, because F1 is not US, right? NHL is American and Canadian, but it's got ESPN Plus. You can pretty much watch every game unless it's like NHL Hockey of the Week. And I'm sorry, I'm skipping across, but it's just another, fan base.
Concept.
NFL doesn't have it. MLB has MLB TV, but you still you get blacked out in your local areas, which is kind of dumb.
Yeah, but NFL,
my
you do
sister,
have streaming services that have picked it up though. Like you got DAZN and stuff that's got it.
but that's not.
it's
Trust me, it's not
accessible.
full. You can't watch it on TV though. You can watch it on, because like Peacock, sometimes we can get our games on there if they're on the right channel, but it's only on an app, so I have to stream it through my phone to the TV to get to get the.
Don't you know there's some
I
marketing?
feel like that's
rep,
more
though?
doable nowadays though. Like I feel like just putting it up to your TV is more doable. I mean, I'm not saying it's ideal, but
I wonder if it isn't something with America and the way they do their TV rights. I don't know. Like their contracts, I guess.
No, I think there's some marketing guy somewhere, Levi, that's like thinking about a guy like you doing exactly that, and he's like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, isn't that nice? Don't you like it on your phone?
Well, we already know the TV broadcasting
streaming tech's amazing,
runs NASCAR anyways. They're the ones who wanted stage racing because they could put more commercials.
Got to pay them bills.
I don't see what's such a big issue though about running a green and checkered race and throwing commercials in. Like, what's so wrong with that? I would prefer they ran green and checkered and threw a commercial in every 10 minutes than this. Oh, let's stop the race, go to commercial break. Oh, they're doing pit stops now. We're back. Oh, let's go back to commercial. Oh, we're gonna come back. Oh, they waved off the restart. Let's do another commercial break. Like, what are we doing?
And you might be be onto something with the TV rights, because
I can only watch the Pinty's chicken commercial so many damn times, bro.
Whatever the hell that is.
It's not even.
I don't know what that is.
That's the Canadian commercial. But no, man, I'm telling you, like they run the same 3 commercials. It's not like you're getting more TV time. Like I get it, bro. I don't want any chicken right now.
I've seen I've seen 3 or 4 commercials for the Clash at the Coliseum while watching football, and no commercials for the Daytona 500, which I think is kind of weird too.
I never understood the Coliseum concept. It's cool and all, but why are we about to fly every team from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast? That's like how they do the West Coast swing right after Daytona. They're like, now it's even more dumb because you go from the West Coast in the Coliseum to the East Coast in Florida, back to the West Coast to Vegas. It's just like, what are we doing? like you know what I mean? Like, why does that make any sense?
Cool thing is living off I-40. I get to see all the guys race up and down the interstate with their semis. I mean, I act like they're racing. They're not racing, but I act like they are.
We're all racing.
Oh no, those truck drivers are racing each other to the track.
Oh, they have to be. Anyways, it's kind of derailed into a NASCAR podcast all of a sudden, but
the season's coming up. There's all kinds of stuff going on, man.
Oh yeah. It'll get this way when F1 starts up too, which is end of February.
Yeah, we get preseason testing February and race in March, right? First race of the season. Let's find out.
This is the first season I'll be a Red Bull fan in a long time.
What were you?
We have the whole Andretti news going on too.
I know, and
I know. Toto and Horner need to calm down and let it happen. They'll either be Haas or they'll be good for the sport. But with 3 American races coming up,
my thing,
gotta have an American team.
The only team on the grid that needs to be complaining is Haas.
There's not anything American about Haas.
No,
Haas
there's not, except Haas.
Yeah, I know, but
Gene needs to be complaining. That's the only person who needs to complain.
They don't want to split the prize money. I get it, but like, I don't know.
Hear me out, though?
Sure.
Hear me out. I understand where Mercedes and Ferrari and Red Bull are coming from, and I also see where Andretti's coming from. Like entering the sport right now is probably as impossible as it's ever been. But at the same time, I don't know if adding more mediocre backmarker teams is the right thing. I think they need to almost police this cost cap more and make the sport more inexpensive, because honestly, like, you can let as many teams in as you want. Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes are still going to absolutely poo on everyone.
I agree
Like,
with that.
you need to bring the cost down, and you need to limit those guys like a lot. Like, I understand you don't want to be ruining people's jobs and everything and all that stuff, but it needs to be feasible. Like, no, I like Formula One and all, but we're watching the same 3 teams dominate every year.
Well,
Your guys will never let it happen. Ferrari will never let it happen. They still make more money than anybody.
Well, here's the thing also. It doesn't matter if it's Andretti or not. The FIA's already come out and says they want a 12-team field.
Well, yeah, no, but filling it with 2 more back markers, it's just going to be like it was back in 2014 and stuff. You got just 2 extra teams, and all they do is just, hey, there's another car
Drive
getting
around.
lapped. Like,
And-
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with the
I hope
cool,
it wouldn't
but-
be, but
It'd be good though. Like, don't get me wrong, we definitely need more drivers in F1. Like, it's especially with nowadays, like, it seems like everyone's hanging onto their seat more. Like, I don't understand why the goats are just hanging on more. Like, people like Alonso and stuff, like, they're great and all, but man, just get out of the
I
sport.
know.
Like,
yeah, move
got-
on and let somebody
there's
else come up.
so many up and comings in F2 that get absolutely shafted. Look
And
at
every year they're getting older. Yeah.
Look at what's his name, for example, Piastri. He literally won every championship imaginable and got barricaded from F1 for, like, what was it, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah.
Just because there's no seat. Just
Yeah.
because they want to fill. Sebastian Vettel wants to go to Aston Martin, and Alonso wants to sit in Alpine and ride around in 7th place. Like, it's like, I get it, but at the same time, I don't. You call it the pinnacle, but you're hanging on to dudes for no reason. I don't know. I mean, it's not like it's F1's fault, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, I refuse to talk about Piastri, but that's personal reasons.
I like R&D in F1 and stuff, but I feel like you need to go one of 2 ways. One, open the door to all kinds of R&D. Like, don't, like, give them, okay, here, you got to be within this box. You can have this many downforce points, and boom, bada bing, you're on your way. Or 2, you start making stuff more standardized, so they can only R&D so much. Because if you're not going to limit the money, you got to limit something else. Because honestly, like I said, there's such a big gap. Like, we were close racing for the first 3 or 4 races of the year. Everybody's like, oh, this car's a great success. And then look at the end of the year. I mean,
Yeah.
look how many races Red Bull won. I mean, I'm not saying the old car was better by any stretch, because Mercedes definitely pooed on everyone for the last 3 years. But
Max
I don't
was
know.
a
There's
monster,
something wrong
though,
there.
I will say.
I think you've got to, on that note, I think the problem is you have too many teams linked with each other. You know, Alfa Romeo and Haas are never going to compete at the level they should, because Ferrari's not going to let them. Mercedes
Right.
is not going to let Williams or Aston Martin compete. You know,
Need more engine suppliers. That's really
and
what it comes down
there's a
to.
lot of talk. Honda wants back in. Porsche wants in. Ford's looking to get in. You know, bringing back Cosworth.
They
You're
should
gonna have
honestly just,
RBR.
instead of bringing in factory teams, so why don't we let more engine manufacturers in? Like,
And those are what
Like,
those,
sure-
those are going to be. They're not going to be factory teams. They're just going to be engine manufacturers.
that's what it would be great for the sport. I think. I don't know. I didn't read too much into the 2026 regulations. I can't lie.
And that's when
But
you're looking
I
for
hope
all
they
those
make
to
it
come.
more. I hope it makes it more accessible for other engine manufacturers, because I think that is one of the big barricades right now. Because as you said, Ferrari's got the power as a power unit provider for 2 other teams. If Ferrari starts shitting the bed, so is everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, they're all gonna go down. Sorry, you're gonna have to bleep that out, by the way. My bad. But everyone else is gonna go down with them. Like, it literally happened. You
Yeah,
saw it in 19 when they got that. They were caught burning oil, and they had that undisclosed deal that went down, and then
Formula
boom,
One was like,
immediately
"Hey,
you saw
chill."
Haas, Alfa Romeo, and Ferrari fall off the face of the earth. So
Well, and that was part of the deal with Andretti, you know, kind of going back to that. They made the stipulation, you've got to make a big boom, pretty much is what they told them. You can't just show up and we're not going to give you the money and everything. And they're like, all right, we're bringing GM.
Like,
Everybody's talking
okay,
about more manufacturers.
the
I'm
largest
bringing one. And
manufacturer
it was
on the
like,
planet.
And
yeah, and they were like, oh crap.
I think GM needs to jump on the bandwagon. A lot of people don't understand. Ford is the third most successful engine manufacturer in Formula One.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's time.
That's under the
I agree.
radar, but
Who is the most successful? Ferrari?
Ferrari,
I imagine,
and then
just 'cause they've been
Mercedes.
there so long.
it's Ferrari, Mercedes, and then Ford.
Yeah, but Ford Cosworth was awesome.
Oh yeah.
But GM Cadillac, look at them in the endurance series, man.
Yeah, that's
Oh, no.
exactly right. Like that
It's not like they can't build an engine, right?
right. Like all of this, because I have seen some flack towards Cadillac, but it's like, dude, no. Like Cadillac's
They've done the damn thing over the years.
Yeah, Cadillac
Yeah.
is serious. They're a good one. That's a good pick.
Yep.
We'll see.
And it's American, so it just goes hand in hand. I'd love it. It would be an all American team, so to speak, in quotes. And then you got Herta possibly to get behind the wheel.
I would buy the rain jacket. You know?
Oh, I'd be all over it.
Heck yeah.
If they come in, right now I'd have to claim if I'm anything, I'm a Haas fan just because it's the most American thing we have.
Fortunate.
But I'm sorry, Haas, but I'm ditching you for Andretti.
Yeah, guys, I'm a Lance Stroll fan. Go Canada. Nicholas Latifi, go Canada.
Oh,
crying right
Canada.
Uh,
Oh.
Oh, Canada, we take the wrong turn at Suzuka.
That's I don't know what
Ruin the
happened,
2021
guys. I'm so
championship.
I'm so sorry.
And all that sounds good. Okay, anyways, that's enough of that.
Dave, back to what you were asking. I was a Ricardo fan. I always have been. So I was Red Bull. Then I went to Renault. And then I went to McLaren. Then poo-poo on McLaren, if you ask me.
It's been a
And now
rough
I'm back to
few
Red
years for him.
Respect.
Yeah. You said old guys that are sitting in the seat. He's sitting in the seat. He's jumping around all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Like,
He
I
should have
get it
stayed with the
to
red and yellow, but
I get it to an extent, but like guys like Alonso really don't need to still be in the sport. I'm
No, they
sorry.
don't.
They really
no,
don't.
they don't. I mean, if
Like, he
Kimmy
still
left,
performs. He's got
and
it
I'm
in
not
him.
saying- yeah, he's good.
I
He's
don't know.
good. I mean, but people like Kimmy stayed around. And I love Kimmy. If you know me, I love Kimmy Raikkonen, and I'm glad he's doing something with NASCAR and stuff a little bit. But he stayed 2-3 years too long, possibly.
I would love to see Kimmy get back in a NASCAR. He was absolutely killing it at Watkins Glen when he pulled up in that Trackhouse car, I think is who it was.
I think
But
he's supposed to be.
He was killing it, and then he got
He's-
murdered by someone in the bus stop.
Yeah.
I was like, "Damn, he was doing
He's
really
in that.
good, though.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one of the reasons I'm getting back into NASCAR. Was who is this group that brought these different drivers for one car?
It's Project 9, not 99. Project.
That was who he raced for at Watkins Glen, and he's with that group of drivers, which is just amazing. I love it. So
Project 91 with Trackhouse.
Speaking of that,
okay, so it is Trackhouse.
They're talking,
Okay.
apparently, and that's a Justin Marks thing. And apparently, he's talked to Danny Ricciardo, but it's all speculation.
Oh, come on now!
I think
speaking
that
of
Oh
was
that,
man, I
sick.
hope that comes true.
going on Project 91, what about bringing some of those guys in on Garage 56 for Le Mans?
I was gonna ask, is that the Garage 56 entry that we're talking about, or is
No.
Project 91 something
What is
different?
that?
I can't remember.
Project 91 is bringing in drivers from around the world and other events to come run NASCAR. Garage 56 is NASCAR building a next gen car to go run Le Mans.
Ah, yes.
But
Okay, hold on. Can we go back for 2 seconds, and can somebody explain to me how the hell Garage 56 works at Le Mans? Because I'd be honest with you, I don't know anything about Le Mans other than there's cars running around a track that go really fast, and that's about it. But does this Garage 56 class run like at the same time as everything else? Like, how
Yes.
many classes run Le Mans?
3.
3. Yeah.
What are they though?
Well,
I thought it was just like GTD and LMPs and hybrids.
LMDH, LMP2, and GT3s now.
So then where's this Garage 56 thing coming in?
It's always there. It's always open to run. It's just no one runs it. It's a
Oh, it's its own
non-class-
class.
It's a non-classed car. And
Oh.
I'm
So like, if we had enough money, we could just go enter in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like,
so
all
I'm
four
reading
of us
about
could
it.
go get a
So
car.
like Garage
So like I could
56 is
soup
like
up a legend car and put like a 6.2 liter V8 in the thing,
I
and
want to
with
do that
NOS,
anyways. I don't care. If we
Yeah,
do it.
there's some
and
weird
just be on my
stuff.
way.
I would have to do
there's
more research on that.
three-wheelers.
There's
Tar-
probably a whole bunch of safety regulations and all this other stuff I'm sure that you have to meet, but
Garage
Interesting.
56 looks like a French team's trying to make a biomethane car to run in the Garage 56 entry. It's just an offshoot class. It's like
and it runs at the same time as all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I suppose.
So we're gonna be watching the 24 Hours of Le Mans later this year, and we're gonna see
Some trash car.
we're gonna see everything else.
It'll
Right?
be
We're gonna
like
see.
the
We're gonna
Red Bull
see.
Soapbox
Oh, there's the
Derby.
BMW hybrid. Oh, and he's passing Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
Like, in like a NASCAR.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's normal.
It looks like it.
That's the strange. I love endurance racing. It is cool, but multi-class racing is the weirdest thing ever, dude.
It is. It's hard to keep up with too. Like when you're trying to watch a race and the ticker, you're like, wait a minute, are you showing me all the classes, or are you showing me just one
Think
class? Where's
about
my
Kyle
guy?
Larson blowing his engine like 5 minutes to go in the race in front of the overall leader, and the overall leader sends it at the end of the Malzahn straight into the wall because he can't stop because
Yeah,
the
America's
NASCAR
done.
blew up.
Yeah, we're done. America's never allowed to do anything ever again. So
I can't even find the Garage 56 entry list. All it is NASCAR.
Right now, that is.
It looks like a bunch of green stuff. Like a bunch of. It looks like a category that they opened for like sustainable entries.
Trialing stuff.
And we come in with our big old V8s.
Yeah, we're here from America, running a Chevy.
I got my
We're running them on 10% though. Running on 10%.
We look
What
like
else you want from
look
it?
I got my V8 on E85, and I got myself a Bud Light, and I'm ready to roll, baby.
we look
Do it
at
for
fixing
Dale.
the ozone like a chemical peel. You have to burn it a little bit, let it grow back.
Praise Dale, raise hell, baby.
Oh man,
It's funny. We had all the NASCAR guys right up to where we started off the statement, and they turned it off.
Oh man.
So,
Anyways, boys, I don't know. You have to cut this out, but I may have to roll. So I don't know if we need to do an outro, or are we just gonna. I don't know how we're gonna do that.
no, I think
Do we have any finale segments, or are we just gonna fade off into the distance while we're? Welcome to my ASMR channel. We're about to switch to the ASMR.